Hey everyone, it's Trish here. I hope you're having a great week. Today I have another card from my fall series, and this one happens to be a Halloween card. This card is a one-hit wonder, meaning I'm using just one stamp set to complete the whole card from start to finish. I'm not using any other stamp sets for sentiment reasons or anything, and I like to challenge myself to try and do this occasionally to get more out of my stamps. So I'm starting out with a piece of black cardstock. Now this cardstock measures 4 3/4 by 9 inches, and it's scored at 4 1/4, and that gives the front panel of my card a little bit shorter than the actual back of my card, and you'll see the reason for this in a couple minutes. So I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Trick or Treat Pets stamp set. And I'm starting out with the Happy Halloween sentiment that's on there that's scripty and stamping that with some Versamark ink. Now, before I started stamping this, I did use my EK Success powder tool to make sure that I didn't get any additional cling on my cardstock when I'm sprinkling my embossing powder on it. So once I've stamped the whole front panel of my card with that stamp set, I noticed that there were some open spots, and so I'm taking one of the bats from the stamp set and just randomly stamping them all around the card front. Now I'm leaving that center section purposely empty and not filling it in with bats because I am going to be placing something there, but I did go around the whole front of the cardstock. Now I did start with this Ranger black glitter embossing powder, and I realized that I wasn't really loving that, so I just used a dry paintbrush, brushed it off, and then went ahead and used my Ranger Superfine Detail embossing powder in the clear right now. And then you'll see there how that looks once it's been heat set. I'm then taking some Strathmore watercolor cardstock. This is the Ready Cut in the cold press, and I'm taking the Vampire Kitty from the stamp set and stamping that with some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and I'm heat setting that with some clear embossing powder, again the same one I used on the base of the card. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to be doing some watercoloring, so I do want, when I watercolor, for the embossing powder to kind of hold the watercolor and not let it spread out all over my image. So I'm using my Zig markers, and these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, and I'll have a list of all the colors that I used off to the side so that you can see them. But I'm just going ahead and using some reds and purples to go ahead and color the cape of the kitten, and then I'll go ahead and use some browns to go ahead and color the rest of his body. I'm not using any special technique when I'm coloring. I'm simply putting down the colors that I would like, and you'll see here around the belly. I'll just put it around where I want the darkest part of the color to be, and I will layer sometimes with 2 or 3 colors, and then I'm just using my water brush to go ahead and spread out that color. And if I feel like it needs to be intensified a little bit, I'll either go with a darker color, or I'll go ahead and dry my image and apply more of the same color. Now I did color this cat to kind of resemble my own kitten, and he is a tabby cat, so he has stripes all over him. So I went ahead and just used one of the real clean Zig markers and scribbled on some stripes. Now I'm not using my water brush over that because I do want that look to still be there. So I'm going ahead and doing the same thing on the kitten's face, and I'm just coloring the base color and applying the shading where I would like it, and then I'm going back in and using the same marker to go ahead and give him some more stripes on his face. Once he's all dry, I'm just using the coordinating dies and die cutting out the kitten, and I'm also applying a little bit of sparkle with the Wink of Stella in clear. I've die cut some more of that watercolor paper with a stitched circle die, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up the background with some distress inks to create a night sky. I'm using tumbled glass, faded jeans, chipped sapphire, and seedless preserves, and I'm keeping the bottom portion rather lightly because that is where my kitten will be sitting. I'm starting out with my lightest color and progressing all the way to the darkest, and then going back and reblending that to get that seamless blend going on for the background. Next, I'm stamping this spider on a string, which I think is absolutely adorable, with some Versamark Onyx Black ink. And I'm just randomly stamping this on the night sky to kind of be around where the vampire cat will be centered. And I'm just placing my cat back on there just to get an idea of exactly how low or how high I should align these spiders around him. Once I've done that, I'm taking a gray Zig watercolor marker and I'm just applying some scribbles down at the bottom just to give him a little bit of shading so that he has something to be grounded on. And I wanted to make this look more like a night sky, so I'm using a white gel pen as well as a clear glitter gel pen, and I'm just adding some random dots on the background. Some are a little bit bigger, some are a little bit smaller. There's no rhyme or reason, just to create some star effect. Now I'm taking my card base here and I have it open, and like I mentioned, the bottom portion of my card base is a little bit longer. So I'm taking this striped border stamp set and I'm stamping it with some Versamark ink. Again, I use my EK Success powder tool to make sure I don't have any extra cling onto my cardstock, and I'm lining up perfectly. I'm sorry, my head keeps getting in the way, but I wanted to line it up perfectly so that I could stamp this stripes all the way across the bottom of it. And I'm going to go ahead and heat set this with some of the Ranger embossing powder in the super fine detailed white again. Once I've done that, I decided that I wanted to apply my sentiment in the inside of the card. So I'm using the word bubble that says trick or treat. Again, same process, EK Success powder tool, stamping it in Versamark ink, and then going and embossing it with the same white embossing powder. Now, if you do get some stray embossing powder somewhere, I always have a clean paintbrush that I use specifically for that, and I just keep it and brush it off, and then you're set to go ahead and heat set it. Now it's time to put everything together on the card. For the circle die cut, I am actually using some fun foam, and what I did was I die cut it with the next size smaller in the circle die set, so that way it would be a perfect fit behind this panel. And I'm using some score tape because it's super strong and I want to make sure that this doesn't come apart when I send it in the mail. So I'm lining both sides with the score tape, and then I'm just going to go ahead and peel it off and apply it onto the back of my night sky. For my vampire cat, I'm using some of the Tombow Extreme Permanent Adhesive, and I'm just using this to be sure that he does not move any which way while this is going in the mail and when it gets to the recipient. So I'm just lining him up exactly where I want him to go, and then I'm flipping him over, and I'm going to go ahead and apply the fun foam onto the back of the circle, and then go ahead and apply that onto my card base. And that completes my card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as I did creating it. As always, there'll be a link down below to my blog with a list of supplies to use on this card. And I'll be back soon with another fall card.